Hello! Today is October 2nd, 2013. I don't know if I normally say the years, but I am going to this time. And you're listening to I Think You Think. I'm Justin, and on the other side of my computer screen is James
Howdy, folks.
and Sequoia.
Hi.
And James still doesn't have the blue thing. And if you would
Stop
notice
picking
our...
on me.
What was that?
So stop picking on me, and I don't have the blue thing.
But if you notice, the blue things, they've changed. So, not a super big fan of the way it changed, but oh well. It's still the blue thing. It still has our name. It still doesn't cost us any money, so what right do I have to complain, really?
It's easy to say that up on your mountaintop with the blue thing.
Jim doesn't even get the blue thing.
All
Get a T-shirt that's got it on there.
That's a great idea. Our first T-shirt. James is the blue thing. Anyway.
Yes.
We are your hosts. We carry no credentials worth noting, except for Sequoia. She is the resident hippie and anthropologist.
I don't think I acquired the title of anthropologist yet.
But you do have more knowledge than we do.
You like
I'm
read a
6
book.
weeks.
You
I'm
go
like
to
6 weeks into my
class.
first anthropology class. I don't really think I can say I'm an
And
anthropologist.
half the time I've been sleeping anyway.
Not true. There
Anyway.
is a kid in there that can say that, though.
I Think You Think is a podcast that focuses on what we think, but also what you think. We believe that the forum of ideas should be open to everyone, and everyone should have the opportunity and to challenge and be challenged by ideas. We are not here to pass judgment, but merely discuss ideas and topics. This podcast, first and foremost, is a conversation between us and hopefully you. You can feel free to email us. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and at the Chicago Now blogs. The links for all these can be found in the underbar of the video. They are also on our Facebook page, facebook.com/I think you think. Wasn't sure if it was a dot or a dash. Couldn't remember. Sorry. But I think you think. Yeah, there we go. I Think You Think is produced by StolenArts Productions and is recorded live at Fisher International Studios. How's everybody doing today? Well,
Good.
Good.
James is doing well.
Yes.
Double thumb well.
That's true.
Anyway, moving on right away, very quickly. All right, so this week we are going to be talking about ObamaCare and the government shutdown and the Patient Protection and Affordability and Care Act, Affordable Care Act, which is also Obamacare. However, they've done studies and have found that people support the Affordable Care Act more readily than they support Obamacare, even though both of them are exactly the same thing.
Oh man.
Are you really surprised by that, honestly?
It's just disheartening. It's disheartening. It really is. People, come on. Just know something.
That's actually quite a stretch for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
That's a whole another podcast, I think.
Before we dive into those, we normally like to say what kind of crazy and wild and stupendous things are going on in our lives right now. I have been. I'm actually. My plan is over on the Chicago Now blog, where if for those who are avid watchers of our show, who actually frequent all of our pages, know I don't post as often as I would like to post over there, but I'm actually going to try to get into doing a blog every week. It probably won't have anything to do with the shows that we may or may not be, that the topics we might have that time. Just kind of what I just feel like I think that I want to kind of put out there for you guys to think about. James and Sequoia will always have the opportunity to post blogs if they'd like, but I know Sequoia is very busy. James is in the middle of a new job that you're starting, basically.
Officially tomorrow.
There you go. Yep. So, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of time, but I did post a blog the other day and I'm going to continue doing ones, not real long ones. I'm shooting for like 250, 300 word blogs, so real quick reads for you guys, just to kind of what's going on in my life, what I'm thinking about, how that affects what you guys want to think about. There you go. So that's what's going on with me.
I recently finished a move. Actually, it might be hard to tell for Sequoia, but it's probably pretty obvious for me. I have a very drastically different backdrop now than I did before. But actually, me and Sequoia are both in different locations. Justin helped me move. I helped Sequoia move. So next time, Justin, you move, remember, call Sequoia, not me.
Sequoia's turn.
That's the way it goes. But finished the old job, had some time off, did my orientation kind of day on Monday, and now I have my official first day tomorrow. Still playing Diablo 3, beat my 4th playthrough on Hell mode, I guess it is, the 4th one, or maybe it's Inferno, I don't remember. Whatever the 4th level is, and I beat that, and that was exciting. So moving, unpacking, getting ready for the new job, being tired, enjoying the new place a lot, actually, compared to the old place. It's very nice. Except for the cable, but that's going to be fixed October 11th between 8 and 9 a.m. They will be here to give me good TV as compared to what I have. I'm not going to say what I have right now and what I will be getting soon, but
we wouldn't want to endorse any particular company.
No, I just have my own personal preferences. Like they're both great in their own rights, and I mean I've talked to both of them on the phone recently, and both companies' customer service is really good. So I really have no complaints. There's just certain things with the one that there's certain channels that I prefer to have that this one I'm subject to at the moment does not have. But that's neither here nor there. That's what's been taking up my time. What about you, Sequoia?
As you said, I also moved. Well, actually, I think that's kind of bad terminology. I participated in a move that you mostly did for me. But
I showed up.
That's a true story, people.
It really is. It really is.
Well, now I'm not liking this idea of me calling her the next time I have to move. If that's...
I mean, I'm good for quite a bit of heavy lifting and stuff like that. It wasn't like I just sat back and watched that, but all the particulars and everything actually coming together, pretty much all because of James.
It was all just the organization execution she missed. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, but I did carry a lot of boxes, so.
I carried more.
Okay, yes, but still, I did participate. But this week I actually had my move and 2 midterms, one of which I am done with. Full normal school schedule, full normal work schedule. So I'm pretty much down for the count this week. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm pulling a James. I have no articles. I am completely unprepared. So this is gonna be fun.
I think it's great.
You have the blue thing.
I do have the blue thing. I feel like if I ever have no articles again, I have to get rid of the blue thing. This is my one chance.
It's like an ode to James.
Yeah, by the way, if anybody's got any suggestions on how for him to fix the blue thing, let us know. Send us an email, put a message on Facebook, whatever. He's tried uninstalling and reinstalling Chrome, turning off the app, getting rid of the app and reinstalling it. So, any other suggestions? We are perfectly happy with.
It used to work. And then one day it didn't. That's all the information I have.
We could get a little cardboard cutout, and you could just hold it below your head with your name.
Just the entire time, just
yeah.
If I wrote it on my screen, would you guys see it? If I wrote it really little on the camera,
it would have to be really little on the camera. The screen wouldn't make any difference, but you would see it on the screen.
It's true, and maybe that would just make me feel better.
Maybe it's just suggestion. It's like a placebo, the blue thing.
It could work.
This has been a lot of fun, but we are going to dive into a relatively hot button sort of issue. The new Health and Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act that it's been law for the last 4 years. slowly doing different things. You probably have, if you already have insurance, you've probably been a recipient of many of the things. Most insurance companies were already doing things like no more lifetime limits. They were doing things like not excluding people for pre-existing conditions. These are things that not every company had to do yet, insurance companies, but many of them had already begun working this stuff into their insurances because they knew it was coming. And those are among some of the things that I think originally they couldn't exclude children. Like they had no choice over that. That was part of that started 4 years ago. But as of this next year, January 1st, insurance companies can't exclude anybody for pre-existing conditions. There's no more lifetime limits, things like that. The exchanges, which we'll talk a little bit more about what the exchanges are and what they mean and how they affect people. The exchanges actually went live on October 1st in states across the country. Illinois, I've been trying to get onto Illinois since October 1st, and there's been quite a bit of hiccups. I just want to get on there to get an idea of what the prices were for this show and for myself personally to kind of compare it to what my company that I work for, their insurance plans are going to be offering, and I still haven't been able to even like sign up with the website because it's been so overloaded.
Which is really smart because I think everybody should be doing that. You should compare because I've worked for, because the company I worked for kind of got bought out recently. Now it's going to be like 3 companies in a short order, 3 different kind of insurance schemes, and the prices have varied. Between all 3. So it could be, even if you get insurance through your company, it could be a big benefit to take one of the options that you can find via the, what are they called again?
Exchanges.
Yes.
Yeah, health insurance exchanges is what they're called. But the biggest thing, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I'm a huge proponent of this new law. Why even at work where I try not to let things get political, I will actually defend how this insurance company is changing. Not the insurance company, how this law is changing how insurance is done. I think it's 32 million more Americans will have access to health insurance who did not have access to health insurance previously. And that right there, more people who have access to affordable health insurance it's better. I'm a person who thinks that having health insurance, not being forced to have to leverage your future and your life savings on a medical condition or anything like that should be a basic human right. I think that should be in this day and age with the kind of technology we have. I think that's just silly not to. And I'm not a person who lives with, I don't have any maintenance medications that I have to do. I go to the doctor once a year for a checkup. That's the way my wife is. That's the way my kids are. I don't have a need or use health insurance, and I'm perfectly happy. Obviously, this is my personal opinion, but I'm perfectly happy, even if the insurance costed a little bit more, which it's from everything that I've read and I understand, it's not going to be that case. It's going to be less expensive, more competitive. The prices should, and because of the competition, should drive the prices down. Lots more companies being involved in it. But even if it did cost a little bit more, knowing that because I, who am not going to be using as much health insurance, there are going to be 32 million other Americans out there who will have access to that health insurance who didn't, I'm perfectly fine with that. And that's my rant.
And that's close to 10% of the people in America. We're somewhere in the 300 million people in America. So 10%, 1 out of 10, Look around where you work, even if you only work with 30 people, there's 3 people that didn't have it that are going to be able to have it, I don't know. For me, like when you look at the details of it, like there's the myth and the reality. And the reality is it is so heavily in favor of the average person and like as opposed to big business. And the only thing you ever really hear about from the people that argue against it is the, oh, you're going to get fined if you don't have insurance, and it's going to be, like Dr. Bob's going to show up at your house and give you a ticket. for not having insurance or whatever. But all the positive parts of it, pre-existing conditions can no longer exclude you from getting insurance. Insurance can no longer, get rid of you because you're sick. Really? They could do that. You're sick, and so we're going to get rid of you. That'd be like, your car insurance company being like, oh, you got in an accident? That's actually against our policy. We're going to have to drop you. We're not going to be able to cover you for that accident because, in your policy it was said that, if you get in an accident, we're not responsible anymore, even though you've been paying us for 5 years for insurance. Preventative care has got to be free, which is good, on multiple levels. Obviously that's good for the people in general. It's also good for the companies that handle healthcare, because if that's free, people are more likely to take advantage of it, and those that take advantage of it are less likely to have the larger, medical bills in the future. Kids being able to stay on the insurance till they're 26, it's a benefit. It's not as earth-shattering as the other ones, but so much of it just leans towards the consumer, if you will. It's weird to kind of call health insurance a consumer, but lean towards the, consumer way more. It gives us a whole bunch of rights against, it's taking kind of the power away from these huge corporations, these huge companies, the medical companies that have been making money off us. The amount that we pay compared to other countries as far as different things within healthcare is huge, and it kind of takes that out of there. So it's great for all of us, but that's not what people know about, because that's not what people want to hear. People want to hear why it's wrong, and that's why people don't like Obamacare. But the Affordable Care Act sounds great, which is what it actually is. That's my mini rant.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. It is perfect. It is a really good piece of legislation for the average person. It's not interested in keeping big business going. As far as it's not geared towards their interests, which is what a lot of that. It's no wonder that there's so much fight against it, because it's not for big business, because it is actually for the average people who don't usually get a whole lot of legislation for them, in regards to big business. I think it's, I actually it's funny that you said that you didn't think the people being able to stay on until they're 26, not that earth-shattering. I remember, turning 19 and getting kicked off my parents' health insurance, and everybody that I knew got kicked off their parents' health insurance all at the same time, and all of a sudden it was I'm sick as hell and I'm missing out on work but I can't go to the doctor to see if I'm better. And not being able to participate in any preventative care or even getting checkups, having to be do I go get, the, $80, $90 checkup, or do I, save up and eat this week? Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, in comparison to pre-existing conditions and not being able to be kicked off your insurance, it's not of that magnitude, but it's a significant benefit. There's no doubt.
It is, and but when you think about the difference that each one of those, each one of those pieces will have on an actual person's life. Somebody with a pre-existing condition will now no longer be turned. Somebody, who before couldn't be insured is now insured. Now somebody who, was feeling ill and couldn't go to the doctor can go to the doctor without worry. The amount of impact it's going to have on average, everyday lives is incredible. And it's going to be so good for people. And I really like it, I think it's such a huge piece of legislation. It's such a huge stride forward. This, I guess a little part of me is sort of that whole, yes we can, all that kind of stuff that, during Obama's campaign that, I voted for. It's coming to fruition with this. It's, it is, yes, this is major. So.
And a couple of things to keep in mind is the complicatedness of this law. What makes it so complicated? What makes it so thick? That wasn't the original law. The fact that it's this complicated is in order to make the certain types of concessions that had to take place in order to get the law passed. Like, the original law was much simpler. I don't know if it was as simple as like a single-payer system, but I believe that that was the original goal, is that it was supposed to be like a single-payer system, that the government covered a lot more of the cost of the health insurance. But because of the mandates and things like that, and the fights regarding that, and how much like certain people should have to pay and things like that, that's what made it so complicated. That's why now there's these tax benefits, there's these rebates and things, all of this stuff. That wasn't originally. Like, originally it was a much simpler law. I'm not blaming anybody in particular. I mean, I know that people have their feelings about what's best for the country, and I don't think that this law necessarily fixes all of the problems, but I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. And any of the like landmark social programs that put into place that are mainstays nowadays, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, things like that, they were all fought. They were fought against. They were, this is the socialization of America. This is communism in action. I mean, they even, when the Department of Education came around, they fought against a public Department of Education, public education as like as bad, like the government intruding into our lives. And I mean, I'm not saying public education is always perfect, but having a system that's as decent as we've got for our public education system, there are places in the world where you don't get education. It's not an option for you. So I mean, as a landmark piece of legislation, it's great. I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
The problem is it gets so much bad press and inaccurate press, or like this pinpoint of focus press that leaves out all the huge benefits that basically for the average person are huge boons in within the industry of healthcare. Like, huge, massive. And that's not what you hear about on the news. You hear about, whatever negative side effects, or just, partial or pure untruth about it. And it's a shame that there's a lot of people that are against it, not even to mention the government shutting down, which I'm sure we'll get into later in the podcast. But it's ridiculous that what it is not what the average person who hasn't done even the most minimal research to educate themselves believes it is.
This is interesting. We've never tried this before, but we actually got here's a live comment that we got. We're trying this thing in the toolbox, so I thought I would bring it up. So it says, do we have any conservative Republican perspective? That this really seems like a couple of people who are liberal Democrats sharing a perspective. I would probably say I agree. A lot of us tend to share very similar ideas. And I would also remind anybody that this show is what we think and what you think. So if there is a conservative Republican who would like to come on and share his perspective, the show is... What's that? Or hers, yes. His or hers perspective. They're welcome at any point. Send us an email. You can join our Hangout. Actually, right now we are live. If you're listening to this after the fact, you wouldn't be able to do that. But obviously. But we do post in our Facebook when we are doing the Hangouts, and anybody is welcome to join. And you also can interact with us via chat. So if there is a conservative Republican who is listening and would like to interact, feel free to do so. I've heard some of the arguments from conservative Republicans. I feel like a lot of them seem to be misinformed, at least when I do the research that I've done. And so I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. I just, I know based on the research that I've done what it looks like to me, but I'm open to hearing another opinion.
So be devil's advocate for a moment and argue against us. Like, what are the opinions that are being put out there?
Down that the what?
You froze for a moment.
Oh, okay. I remember originally they had talked about the fact that what the Congressional Budget Office had said that it would cost versus what they then came back and said that it would actually cost seemed to be incorrect. That that it wouldn't actually be saving the amount of money that it was claiming, that it would actually cost more money than it was claiming. I don't remember the specific numbers. However, the most recent information that I've got, that's not the case. That it actually is actually lessening the deficit by using this program because of the fact that the amount of money that we would spend on the healthcare for our healthcare overall across the country, the amount that it raises is actually much higher than the amount that this is actually saving. I mean, this is saving considerably more than it would have raised by not having it in place. And that was one of the arguments. Let's see. A lot of people are against the individual mandates. They say that taxing people for insurance is not. I don't know if they mean like not ethically correct or if they think it's not morally correct. I can't imagine that they don't mean that it's not legally correct or that it's unconstitutional, because it's legal, it's a law, so that makes it legal, and the Supreme Court has already deemed that it's constitutional. So I think what they mean is it's not ethically or it's not morally correct. That you can't force people to buy insurance.
Which is probably a valid point, but again, I think it was like estimated that like 25, 26 million Americans are going to be exempt, which you're looking at like 8% of the population. So that's like 1 in every 11 people, give or take. 1 every 12 people, actually. That's actually exempt. So that's a very, it's a significant number that are exempt. Just like it's close to the amount of people that will get insurance that hadn't before. And I don't think any of us, I know myself definitely, doesn't believe that this law or group of laws kind of is flawless, but it's a big step. And overall, it's a positive step. It really kind of puts a little more control in the hands of the individual in most situations, from my perspective, than we had before. Because realistically, the healthcare industry had us by the short and curlies. Are you already sick? Not going to take you. Did you get too sick? We're getting rid of you. Have you spent all the money we're willing to spend on you? We'll take your money forever, but there's only so much we'll give back. Okay, well, we've spent everything we'll spend on you. We're going to get rid of you.
Well, fair enough. It's not necessarily money that they give back. I mean, the amount of money we pay into the insurance, if you did get sick or have a catastrophic situation, you will get back way more than you ever paid into it. I mean, right. That's not the way insurance companies work. I mean, I don't pay for insurance on my car because I ever expect to get it back. I pay for insurance on my car in the case that I might ever need to use it. Right. That is the expectation of any insurance. I don't buy insurance for my house because I want it to burn down. You
might not.
So, but I remember the individual mandates being the real hot button issue. However, I think that a lot of the reason people are against it, you don't hear about this as much, as things that really don't even exist. Like I remember several times on my Facebook feeds where a friend of mine would bring up something like, oh, the individual, not the individual mandate, the ObamaCare has death panels where they sit and decide who's going to live and who's going to die, and that's not in there. Things where they say, oh, there's a part of the law that says that Muslims don't have to buy insurance. And I'm like, I would actually ask them, they would say this, they would put up the location in the law that it technically is. I got the law. You can get any law, PDF file on your computer. I did the search. I did a search for the entire thing for the word Mormon, for the word religious, for the word religion, and there isn't anything in there because it's a law about health insurance. It's not a law about how these people or those people are going to get out of it. There was even the claim that people in Congress can opt out of the insurance. First of all, I don't know why they would necessarily opt into it since they have some of the best insurance that our country has to offer, as it covers 100%. I could be wrong, first of all, but I'm fairly certain it covers pretty much anything that should ever happen to them for the entire time, obviously, that they're in office. And I know in the case of the president, he's done. Like, he's health insurance, he's got Secret Service for the rest of his life, all of this stuff. That's part of, I guess, the perks that come along with the stress that comes with running the country.
A salary that would make you do a happy dance for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Like, if any of us got that and realized we had that salary for 1 year, we'd do the happy dance for like the first 2 weeks of that year. And even then, every now and again, we'd be like, going from one place to the other, and we'd do the happy dance. They get huge benefits, and they're still getting paid even though they're not working, which I don't know. Maybe they're using personal time. I don't know how that works when you're in the government.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Like, I mean, we can easily transition to what basically happened earlier this week. The government shut down. Not every single branch of the government is shut down. I mean, there are parts of the government that are still running.
If you call 911, they'll still show up.
Right. And all of the exchanges opened on October 1st, like they were supposed to. That was one of the things that they were very clear on. I actually had a friend of mine text me and say, if the government shut down, did they actually still open the exchanges? And yes, they did open the exchanges.
That's their money too. They're not shutting that down.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, so the government shut down. I mean, what the hell? I don't really have much anything. I'm like, I just called my boss, like, I'm really pissed off about this that's going on, so I'm gonna just, like, I call my district manager, I'm really irritated by this policy that the company's putting in place. I'm shutting my store down.
Yeah.
Until you decide, you're gonna change, you're gonna change this.
Yeah. It's really like, I don't even know what it is. I don't even know. I don't have an answer or an explanation, but it's not right. Because they're still getting paid, but all these government workers that aren't working, I don't think they're getting paid.
Nope.
And
like, members of the military should still be getting paid. Well, they're still working, but they still may not get their paycheck. Like, probably what will end up happening is there will probably be an interruption in their pay.
Not to mention that is, for those who are involved in the federal program of women, infants, and children's, a very good program, a program that me and technically my wife and our son utilized several years ago. If you don't have any of those checks currently, you aren't getting one right now because the government shut down. And what women?
WIC, I didn't realize.
Yep, WIC is shut down until the government opens back up. So any checks you currently have, that's what you've got until. So anybody who happened to be running out, they're done. And for those of you who don't know, women, infants, and children's, basically you get a check that allows you to get milk, bread, cheese, formula for infants, cereal. I mean, and you can't now, like peanut butter.
Basic foods.
Mm-hmm. It's actually an incredible program. But I mean, and that's sort of the thing about this government shutdown is it really hurts the people who really need the government.
Right.
The worst. Like, this government shutdown is going to have huge impacts on a lot of people who really need these things to keep running, and the people who aren't at all affected by it are the people who are the ones who shut down the government.
Yeah, they're still getting paid, which is
Yeah.
a crock, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would think if the government's getting shut down, then the Congress shouldn't be getting paid either. But
Oh yeah.
it makes sense to me. I mean, if I can't go to a federally public park, something that my tax dollars support, why in the hell should my tax dollars be supporting their paychecks? They're not doing any work.
Right.
They're not. It's not like they're there trying to figure out what they're going to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It makes me angry because I mean, and this is one of the problems with the two-party system. I mean, which is a whole other podcast, I suppose. But because now they're split, like they don't agree. So since they don't agree, everyone's like, well, fine. Like I'm not going to play with you anymore. Like until you decide we're going to play Jacks, I ain't playing at all. Well, I want to play hopscotch. Well, I ain't playing hopscotch. I'm playing Jacks. Well, I ain't playing Jacks. I'm playing hopscotch. It's like it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but at the risk of being outed as a liberal Democrat on this.
I don't think anyone would have figured that out yet, man. Like how
I know, right?
I'm shocked.
drop the bomb in episode 43. That's
Damn.
insane, dude.
Oh, and if
I don't know
those
if I can be part of the podcast anymore.
if
Yeah.
those who don't know, I'm also an atheist, so I'm going to hell doubly.
Yeah. See you
Anyway, I don't think that this is a Democrat thing. Like the Republicans are shutting down the government. Like their reason for wanting to shut it down is because they want to put something that is a law that they have tried 43 odd times to try to overturn and have not had it overturned in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
That the Supreme Court has said is not unconstitutional, and yet they still run it's an unconstitutional thing. It's not. The Democrats are saying, I want to play hopscotch, and the Republicans are saying, I want to play jacks. It's the Republicans are saying, well, I don't want to do anything unless it means you're going to give me something that belongs to you. And the Democrats are like, well, then we can't play. Like, what are we supposed to do? That's a terrible analogy.
I actually heard an amazing analogy, and I wish I could remember like who I saw it from, and I'm probably gonna butcher it a little bit, but it was basically like, imagine if the dude in payroll bill, like imagine like this company decides, okay, it's Casual Friday,
You
can
saw it
wear
on my
whatever you
Facebook
want.
page.
Was it on yours?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
then
one
you know
was mine.
exactly what I'm talking about. It was great. I don't know who you got it from or whatever, but it was great. It was like, imagine that guy in payroll says that he doesn't want I don't know what was like a
The
soda machine or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he says nobody's getting paid until you get rid of the soda machine.
Yeah.
Or,
and,
and then I'll negotiate, but only if you agree to get rid of the soda machine.
Right. Right. And that's why, like.
Well, the thing okay, first of all, you have to think about how much money, first of all, has been spent to try and appeal the Affordable Health Care Act. Because I saw somewhere that it's something like over $50 million has been spent of our tax dollars to try to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, which hasn't happened. It still happened, and that's what's ridiculous about this government shutdown, is that it's all because of the Affordable Health Care Act, which is happening.
Yeah.
It's currently happening. It's currently going into effect. So they're not actually accomplishing anything.
It's been going into effect since 2010.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just ramping up and getting more momentum as more things, because it finally, like, the end of it is like 2022 or something, when like the final like laws or portions of it come into effect. But yeah, I mean, it's been going on for 4 years.
Yeah, and in fact, the corporate mandate, which was supposed to go into effect next year, was actually pushed back a year as part of a concession recently that the Democratic Party actually conceded to recently. I don't know if it was part of a debt ceiling increase or what it was, but there was a recent concession, I believe, this year in which they pushed the corporate mandate, which is that corporations had to provide insurance for their employees back a year to 2015 instead of 2014. Businesses over 50 employees or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But the individual mandate, things like that, all are starting this year. However, I have heard, I think it was Bill O'Reilly, while on The Daily Show, had mentioned as a concession to push the individual mandate back to 2015 instead of 2014. I don't know. I don't know specifically. I guess the way I feel is the sooner that this stuff gets going, the sooner people are going to realize how much better of a program it is than the system we currently have. And so I get the feeling like Republicans don't want it to get into its full force, because then they're going to lose the people that they've been telling, well, this is a bad thing, this is a bad thing, too.
Yeah, once it reaches a certain point, there'll be no going back. I mean, it could get changed, but there'll be no going back.
So we've been getting comments on our YouTube page, but I thought this one was kind of interesting. It's from our same listener, but we were we beat him to the atheist thing on the Liberal Democrat comment. So thank you, Eugene. Really appreciate that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where else to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation right now, you know. I mean, overall, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Of course it's not perfect. We're never going to write a law that's perfect. I mean, part of that's the two-party system, because it's like A and B are like arguing against one another, you know. What's all? Oh, jewelry. So,
well,
yeah.
I was thinking since we're so frustrated, maybe a good way to deal with frustration is to buy some jewelry, either for ourselves or for somebody else. So,
true.
So I was thinking StravaMax, StravaMax.com.
It's because you're so good with the segues, Justin.
What?
It's because you're so good with the segues.
I know, right?
Well, and for a second there, it flashed over to your face, like right up in your camera too.
I think he was trying to read it, and I've noticed that, like, I feel like some of the quality of some of the stuff we've been putting out video-wise is very difficult to see sometimes. And I'm sorry. I mean, like, we do this show on our own. You know, we're not paid to do this. Everything that
I got like 15 people here behind camera that nobody can see.
Yeah, and so like we bare minimum. We don't have high definition cameras. We don't have a crew that helps us out with this. So anytime people help us out, we like to show appreciation. And one of the young ladies who helped us out made our graphics for us. So we like to let you know about StravaMax. I don't understand.
What?
Anyway,
I think those 24. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, there's these new metal strips that they have. I don't know what the metal strips have to do.
Metal and leather.
But yeah, so they do metal strips and leather. And Sequoia is laughing at my awesomeness.
No.
So, anyway.
That was so mean. I'm sorry.
Anyway, there you go. So, StravaMax.com. Check it out. Buy some jewelry. Help avert the government shutdown.
That was by far the worst segue we've ever had. Oh, what's that? Oh, jewelry.
I think I'm supposed to handle the segues, Justin.
I wasn't the one who said, "What's that? Oh, jewelry." That was you. You are the one who flubbed that segue.
Well, I was in the middle of like talking, and then you just.
I didn't put it. I put it up on my screen. It wasn't up on the main screen.
Yeah. Well,
I was waiting for you to finish your thought. I was giving you the cue. Hey.
See, this is the kind of argument that'll shut down a government.
That's it. I'm shutting this podcast down.
I don't want to play hopscotch or jacks.
Damn it.
I want to buy jewelry.
Double Dutch. Let's do Double Dutch.
With jacks on the ground.
Yep.
I think this calls for Cards Against Humanity.
That's a random plug.
It calls for what?
It was not intended to be a plug at all. It's just the truth.
Someday, Justin, I will awaken you to this game. We'll have to. Well, actually, the three of us will have to be in the same place again at some point in time. I think it's happened once.
Like ever?
Ever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice, I think.
Nope. Once.
Only once? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's here. Actually, literally here. Before I even lived here again.
Yeah. I thought there was a second time for some reason, but
they're kind of right over there.
Anyway,
we're in that area.
As that fun walk down memory lane has been.
So yeah, let's reopen the government, and then let's let the Affordable Care Act go into effect and stop being whiny bitches.
Can I be honest? For some reason, the fact that the national parks are shut down, I don't know why, it just makes me so angry. Because I feel like I should be able to go to Sequoia National Park whenever I want.
Maybe
so the
they
fact
let you
that
in
it's
if you show them
down
ID.
right now.
I don't think there's anybody there to stop you.
Well, I mean, okay, and then
that's a good point. I mean,
like,
I wonder if there's no park rangers.
There aren't. I mean, from what I understand, from what I've read, that's one of the people that they've been like, you're on hiatus until, the rich people can figure out what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah, well, which, first of all, park rangers make, a pittance, and they work very, very hard, and, it's a thankless job, really. And yeah, there probably is no way to get into the national parks, national forests, because I grew up, right next to a national forest, and I mean, if you're willing to hike through stuff, yeah, you can get to wherever you want to go, but, the main roads and stuff are shut down.
Why would you go to a national park if you're not willing to hike? Just wondering.
Well, I mean, through not paths or routes to get to them, or you'd be
actually go into the woods. Man, that's kind of scary. Just kidding. No, that's what I do. If I go to a place like that, go into the woods.
Well, I know that when we went to visit Ohio, when we went to visit Ohio, we went to the Serpent Mound national. Well, I don't know if it's a national park. I think it's run by the Ohio Park. When we went to the Serpent Mound Park, we also went to another one that was there was basically woods. We were hiking up to a fort on our way, but we only made it about halfway up because, one, there were bugs all over the place, and everybody was getting cranky and hungry, so we ended up turning around and heading back. So we never got up to the fort. But it would have been very irritating, and I brought this up to James before the show. It would be extremely irritating to, let's say, pack up my kids and my wife, and they pack very well. They have little carrying cases and everything for them.
They're all relatively small.
Yeah. But to drive out to Yellowstone National Park or something, this big family vacation days before that you'd planned 6 months earlier, and you show up there, and what the hell are you going to do? You can't get in. You just have this sign that says, "I'm sorry, it's closed," because the government shut down. And what the hell? Just freaking do your jobs.
Yeah, work it out.
Yeah, that's what you're there for. That's why we pay you.
Be adults. Don't huff and puff and cross your arms and be all angry. Get it done. Work it out. So
this show is getting very judgmental and
it's true. We think.
Yeah.
This episode has become we think. Hey, episode 43, we had to get to this point eventually.
It's true. I will say that, the thing about this that sort of frustrates me more than anything is I feel like the politics of Washington, the level that they're at, is so far removed from the needs of the people that they're supposed to be serving that it's ridiculous. Like, they are supposed to be representing us. That is their job, is to represent us and what we want. And they are so far removed from what actually goes on in the lives of their constituents that they're willing to shut down the government instead of just working it out and serving the people that they are serving. That's what they're supposed to do, is serve us. And they're not. They're
supposed to, but we're not the ones that really give them money. We pay their salary, their whatever, $200,000 a year. It's nothing. It's nothing.
It's true.
I do have a
we're
Facebook.
all going to disappear now.
Yeah. This is the last episode. Unplanned last episode. No. I
Don't
have
confuse people.
Yeah, I know, right? No, it's not really the last episode unless something tragic happens. But I have one of the things that I have a Facebook friend that he's been talking a lot about, and it's everybody's been talking about it, but the idea of trying to get money out of politics is really one of the only ways we're ever going to be able to get people into the government that really
for the right reasons.
Right, and I mean, personally, I think that term limits would really solve a lot of those problems. Like if you said, you can only serve in Congress for 1 term or 2 terms or something like that, and then that's it. Like you're done. The only problem is that, from what I understand, a lot of people who are senators and representatives, after they finish, a lot of them go on and become pundits and things like that for their particular thing or area.
It's a huge big mess, and there's no one thing like, oh, if we did that, it'll fix it. It's like going into someone's house who's a hoarder. It's so you don't even know where to start. Because it's so you look around and everywhere it's like, wow, that's just it. Everywhere I look is a disaster. It's kind of like that. Like, where are you going to start cleaning up? I don't even know where to start. It's unfortunate.
Probably somebody more intelligent than me could at least present ideas.
I don't think it's about that. I mean, I think it's just having the information. There's so much to know, and there's so much. And the problem is the people that are abusing the laws or taking advantage of the laws are simultaneously the people that are writing the laws. And that is a huge conflict of interest. That's we've all worked at different, companies. Imagine if the employees got to make all the rules. That's kind of what you're dealing with there. You know what I mean? They get to decide when breaks are, or when they get raises, or what other employee benefits in general. If that is the case, then stuff's going to come out the other side of that that's really imbalanced in many, many ways. And that's kind of part of what we're dealing with. I mean, I don't know who else writes the laws, if not them, but I don't know. I've mentioned it many times before. This government's all effed up.
We had a comment on here. Eugene is interacting with us some more, so I will throw this up there. Diversity of people. So how much have we contributed to campaigns, and how much say do we expect to have? I assume with the government based on that. So I'm going to open that up for us. As a kind of topic there.
I have contributed nothing to campaigns, but I have written to my congressman before. And how much say? Divide it by however many people are American citizens that are 18 or older, and I want that much say.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, how many laws or bills go through that we, the average person who is the most affected by those laws, have any say in? Realistically, how much say do any of us have any real say at this point? We get to vote for the person and for a few laws, and that's really all that's left. So much of it is handled completely within Washington and away from us that we have no say in a lot of it.
Well, it's a long game. It's not a short game. Like, and that's part of the problem, and it's difficult because you have to do a lot of research, and then you have to trust that what the politicians saying are the truth. And it's just like anybody, you know, you can meet anybody, whether they're going to be in politics or not, and have many conversations with them, and the truth of the reality in the future of what they do compared to what they say might be very well be different. But you know, to really be informed, it's a lot of information that you have to garner before you make that decision. And sometimes there won't even be a candidate that really lines up for you, especially if you get down to the more local levels. You know, but even like Congress, you know, there's X amount for each state. Senate, there's X amount for each state. So, and realistically, that's the problem with the two-party system again, because, you know, they're going to go, here's option A and here's option B. And how many times, if people randomly put, like, imagine that as your next friend. Okay, Sequoia, here's option A, here's option B. Which one's going to be your new friend?
Well, and a lot of the problem and a lot of the reason that it seems like things have become even more extreme than ever is because there's been a lot of redrawing of district lines in order to make areas more Democrat or more Republican. But what that means is that, like, I feel like in order to get elected right now, you either have to be really, really Democrat or really, really Republican. Like, there is no middle ground anymore. You can't win as a middle-of-the-roader anymore. It doesn't happen because you have to appeal to the extremists because they're the ones who get out and vote. They're the ones who get all fired up and go out and, you know, cast their vote because they have very passionate beliefs a lot of the time, are the extremists. So I feel like the party lines have become even farther apart than they ever were before. There's really no, like, middle ground anymore.
And, I mean, and we're really kind of getting off topic on a tangent, but the other thing is to really, like, make it that high into politics, you can't have made mistakes in your life, almost. Like, how many of any of our friends do you think could really make it to the level of being in Senate or Congress, given the truth of the life they've lived? So now we're talking about, yeah.
Like, absolutely zero,
I mean,
none of them.
And, like, I have plenty of friends that I think would be, you know, like a valid member of that situation, being able to actually contribute, but because of this or that, they'd never be able to. So now we're looking at this really, like, select group of society that can make it there as a general rule. So although we're supposed to represent the entirety of society, there's only this, like, really small fraction that could ever actually make it there, which is hugely problematic. Like, I don't care. You know, when you were 22, you got a DUI. You're 35 now. Have you had a DUI since then? No. Okay, you were 22 and you were dumb. It happened. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, and other whatever other things. You know, not married, been divorced, happens to be gay, not white. Like, all these things that are a problem, depending on the voters. You know, none of that stuff should really matter. Like, it's almost like I always say with movies. I wish I never saw a preview, because you learn so much from the preview. I would rather just know the basics. Like, literally tell me what this candidate's, you know, actual truth is, and then I would love to vote on that. You're never going to get that. It's never going to happen. At least not. I mean, if we pushed for it for a really long time, 50 years from now we might be there. But it's a problem that I would rather almost have someone who's made mistakes and turned their life around than someone that somehow managed to cover up every mistake they ever made or never made a mistake. Because either of those people are way less like me than the person who's made mistakes and has managed to come away from it surviving. You know, that's me and the people I know. Me and the people I know aren't the people that never made a mistake and, like, had the perfect structured life from the beginning and, like, never got off course. I don't know anybody like that. I don't think I've ever met anybody like that. But that's me going on a tangent. That's all I got.
All right, so Eugene has responded to some of the stuff that you guys have said. A couple of things. Are you involved in local politics? Was one of the questions, and he also mentioned I vaguely remember something about this. I don't know about. I'd have to look it up, but Obama has admitted to blowing coke. So I mean, in terms of, okay, if he has, then that kind of that kind of jives with what James was saying, in the sense, or not jives, but conflicts a little bit with. But I mean, if you, I don't know, whatever.
But at the same time, like these, like it's sort of like minor infractions, and it has to be things that they have to come out and admit. Like if somebody gets up to a certain point in politics and it comes out that they, stripped through college, they're probably not going to become president. Like that's, you know what I mean? Or, if they've got tattoos, probably not going to become president. Like... that was awesome.
I was looking at my video screen.
Eugene had also asked a while ago that whether or not he thought that there was normally 4 of us, and no, there's normally just the 3 of us. There's a 4th person on if they're a guest. But we don't have guests all the time, but anybody is always free to send us an email, message us on Facebook if you are interested in being a guest. We've had guests in the past. We don't have a problem with guests, and we will take guests who completely disagree with our position. And I have no, that's what the I Think You Think has always been about. I would have loved to have somebody on for this episode to discuss the opposite.
We should have just called Congress. They're not busy.
John Boehner.
Oh man.
Anyway, we are starting to run out of time, so I'm going to kind of gear us towards wrapping up. And now
we're overtime.
Yeah, I think we are a little overtime, but hey, it happens. Not very often, but it does. And so a couple of things. Feel free to message us. The way we do shows is they are broken down by the days, the certain times of the weeks of the month. And so the next time we'll be talking about, this kind of got really political. This was supposed to be more health medical, which is why we started with Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act. It kind of started to get really political. Political social stuff is supposed to be in our 3rd week. So we might have to kind of swap those. We might do more medical stuff next in 2 weeks. But with the government shutdown, I figured it would end up going a little more political. Next week is a little lighter. It's science and technology. So our topic will be science and technology related. 3rd week, it looks like this month we'll probably shoot more for spiritual medical stuff. Health and spiritual is what we call it. And then the 4th week is pop culture, which can pretty much be whatever we kind of want to talk about, but we will do video game reviews during that time and things like that. However, this month is a special month because there are 5 Wednesdays, and we go by Wednesdays just because James and I, when we first started, a lot of when we were doing shows revolved around Wednesdays, and so this month has 5 Wednesdays, which means we're doing a I Drink You Drink. So there will be an I Drink You Drink podcast at the end of October.
It'll be happening here, actually.
Yes, it will, and
we will all be in the same location.
Yep.
For the second time ever.
unless we all get together between now and then it will be the 3rd time.
It's possible.
It's true.
It's true.
So there's that. We will be having a costume party, so we'll all be dressed up. But we will. I believe we're going to kind of start off with the podcast or do it at some point during the costume party. Probably at the beginning, so that we're not like crazy drunk by the time we actually try to do the show.
Relative beginning. Well, I mean, with you, it'd be normal for an I Drink You Drink.
Yeah, I'm already hammered. So join us for that. What was the day on that one?
29th.
The 29th.
It's
So
a
the 29th of October. And my guess is we'll probably be doing the show sometime between the 7 to 9 o'clock hour. I don't know specifically.
I'd say 7 to 7:30 launch time.
Yeah.
Seems...
So, and that's Central Standard Time for those of you who are outside of our time zone. So we hope to see you guys. Well, all of you, everybody there, all of our listeners, on the podcast. At the very least, the costume party is not open to everyone. So, but true story. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Anybody else have anything else they want to wrap up with?
Yeah. Hey, Congress, get back to work. That's all I got.
What he said.
My motivational speech.
There you go.
What's that noise? It's your job happening.
All right. So other than that, everybody have a great day. Thanks for coming by and watching the show. Thank you, Eugene, for interacting with us. I really like that new system. I think we're going to use it in the future. We will be posting those links on our Facebook page so that you can get to that YouTube video and interact with us that way if that's the way you choose. The Facebook page will also have a link to the Hangout, so you can also join us in the Hangout if that's something that you would be interested in. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next week.